Welcome back to Wario Land 3, and we managed to find Deji in the frozen icicle. So...
Oh, look at that.
Now, welcome everybody to the big city here on Wario Live Cam Rock Cam tonight.
It's the building from Wario Land 2. They just recycled some assets.
Unfortunately, Jova had to use his all the hair dryers in his house to thaw Deji out. The electricity bills must be.
Yeah, this particular mission that we're doing right now on the town in Chaos is actually my favorite of the entire game.
Because you have to bump bears off the ledge?
No, because we're gonna have a little sequel. This is kind of a sequel mission to something we did in Wario Land 2. Alright, let's see.
Riveting. What if it turns out that this is all just a dream of Wario's, and that's why all this familiar stuff is happening? I mean, hey, it worked for Super... Well, okay. It kind of worked for Super Mario Brothers 2. The American version.
Except that enemies from that dream appeared subsequently in later games.
But you see, it turns out Mario was dreaming about those because he's known some of those villains since the time he was a baby.
Of course.
Yeah, that's when you get down to it, that does bring up a lot of interesting questions.
Subconscious and all of that.
Yeah.
Mario has had quite an interesting life, literally from the moment he was born.
We don't talk about Yoshi's New Island. That never happened.
Would you prefer?
I'm sorry. What were you talking about, Dedge?
I said Yoshi's New Island never happened. We don't talk about it.
I'm sorry. What Yoshi's New Island? There's no such game.
Exactly.
Also, Dedge, would you rather talk about stuff like Mario's Time Machine?
Yes.
How about Mario's Missing?
Yes.
The first starring Luigi, and he's still not in the title.
And how about Hotel Mario?
Okay, sorry, go on.
I heard, and I've seen gameplay of it. It doesn't look bad. It's just mediocre.
The game is not bad. It's just mediocre. Like it's basically more of an arcade type game. Like it's more akin to Mario Brothers rather than Super Mario Brothers. It's like the only real. That being said, it's an incredibly mediocre, forgettable game. The only claim to fame is the all toasters toast meme.
Yeah. And yet the Mario's voice actor, I keep forgetting his name, still managed to actually find work to this very day. It's hilarious.
Well, with that line in your resume, I mean, you're gonna cause some curiosity at the very least. So
okay, you were Mario at some point. That's gotta go for quite a bit.
I don't think the other voice actors involved with the rest of the CDI games, as in the Zelda ones, for example, actually got the award.
Because time for a boss battle.
Against whom?
Wait a minute.
Oh, look who it is. Alright, so the basketball bunny from Wario Land 2 comes back, and this time we're playing a game of European football. First one to score 3 goals wins.
Bring him for Mario Strikers.
Yeah.
Put him in there.
Yeah, for the
maybe.
Also, the irony, the tortoise is the goalkeeper.
Okay, so the way it works is you have to first jump on top of the bunny to turn him into a ball, kind of like what we did in Wario Land 2, and you have to shoulder badge him like that into the goal. And if he does the same to you, you become a ball as well. Go on. Oops.
I was just gonna say, I love how the UK version of the game, you know what I mean, is adding the word football to the title.
Well, that's how the previous games were as well. So
yeah, basically the other Mario Strikers games have different names here in Europe.
Mario Smash Football.
Yeah.
And
basically,
Mario Charge Football.
Yeah, unfortunately, that doesn't mean Smash characters are playing football, sadly. But... Oh well, because I Hey, Joker playing football. That would be.
Can we not? Can we not?
It's
What's wrong with Joker playing football?
No, I do not want every Nintendo franchise to
Here's a
use
tip.
Smash Brothers.
Oh, that.
Here's-
That said, Ditch, you cannot tell me that Captain Falcon does not at least deserve to be in Mario Kart.
Oh yeah. I'm fine with them being guests, but I don't want it to be. Let's turn it into every Mario spin-off to
Anyway.
Smash Brothers.
Anyway, here's a tip. If you get turned to a ball, try to get straight into the goalie's hand so that he'll throw you back and turn you back into normal. So that's a good thing you can do. I don't. This one's fine, but there's not that.
Basketball one's better.
Yeah, the basketball one is better. Like, there's no... see, look at this. You'll notice that the bunny has a move that basically goes straight to the goal in a very straight angle, whereas we have to shoulder barge into him coming from above, which makes it very easy to put the ball between the goal and the keeper. So there's a lot of randomness involved in this boss battle.
Are you sure this is a game of football, though? He literally chucks it in there.
Bowser literally grabs the ball and
that's
fire on it.
That's Mario Strikers, Ditch. Like, what goes in Mario Strikers as well.
Well, Joe, it's a goal.
Bloodthirsty out there.
Well, that's a soccer goal, Joe, with a keeper and everything. So yeah, it is that kind of.
No. Players are okay. Unless you're the goalie, players aren't supposed to grasp it. And the bunny died.
Also, for being super technical, Wario scores by shoulder bashing, you know?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
that wouldn't fly in real football.
Yeah, so
The shoulder isn't allowed in.
turns out that boss.
So they're both cheating.
So yeah, we forgot the red key. So let's see if we can find it.
Whoops. But yeah, I checked in the meantime, and no, none of the voice actors who worked on the Zelda CDI duology actually did anything. They were probably someone in stuff that was, that worked on the game, probably, because that was usually the modus operandi back then, if you need some quick voice acting but don't know who to get, just get the janitor that's, cleaning the office too,
Oh boy, I'm so hungry I could eat an Octorok.
I can't wait to bomb some Dodongos.
Yep.
Let me see
Is
instead.
that
Mario.
Yu-Gi-Oh dialogue you quoted?
Nope.
No, that's the Zelda CDI games. Come on, you're not familiar with the memes and the YouTube poops?
Only the one from the opening cutscene.
Here's a good one. Go ahead, Jova. You killed me.
Good.
I'm not kidding. That's an actual cutscene. God, the villain dies, and then Zelda's like, "Good."
Yeah, sure.
You can't make this shit up.
Oh yeah, look, the Zelda CDI games are a special.
No, that's the thing. Well, okay, here's the thing. The sad thing about those games is that the only really noteworthy fun thing about those games is the cutscenes themselves. The actual games themselves are terrible. They're not even fun to play. They're just
honestly.
Someone actually bothered to do a quote unquote remastered of
yeah, on PC. Yeah, PC.
That actually seems to be at least streamlining a bit better the controls, but it doesn't really eases up too much of the tediousness.
Not really. No.
The cutscenes were so popular that there's an entire reanimated collab for them.
Yeah, that's not surprising. That's the thing, Teo. Trust me, Teo. Those games require more than just some tune-ups here and there. Those games are just beyond salvation.
It's a shame because I kind of like the idea of a pre-rendered background, but as the AVGN noted, it goes against the game's advantage. Sorry, it goes in disadvantage towards the game because you never really understand where you're supposed to be in relation to the level.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest, if they had just, done stuff properly, honestly, those games might have gone down in much better history because, yes, their stories are ludicrous, but they're so glorious.
Oh, definitely.
What treasury is this?
Oh, definitely. There you go. Another music box.
It's like a hat.
We now have 3 more to go.
It looks like a magic bullet. You know, the
I
kitchen
thought it
accessory.
actually looked like a miniature
it-
Smash Assist trophy.
Yeah, it looks like a capsule. So
Alright, so this will open up the bank of the Wild River
Wild River.
and the Tidal
Okay.
Coast. Okay, 2 new levels. Okay,
Power of music compels nature.
exactly. No, that's the
I wonder
thing.
what the city's like at night.
That's just the thing, Jova. Like, trust me. Like, the only way to the only great entertainment you can get out of it is just going on YouTube and watching a compilation of all the cutscenes. Actually, playing the damn thing, no, it's just so it's not fun.
Oh
It's-
yeah.
When you're recording for the channel.
well,
CDI ever actually released in Europe?
Emulator.
it might live because I distinctly remember, even if it wasn't. Even if it's not something that I found, literally everywhere, I distinctly remember there was one video once that wasn't a fan project. It actually was official. That had the one line from
Yes,
one
it
of the
was.
Zelda games in like 5 languages, which mine was included. In fact, it's actually one of the current gaming mysteries that my country is trying to decipher. If there was an actual Italian version of the game, and in case, which seems likely, and in case, who were the voice actors involved? Because aside from the fact that the English version had bad voice acting, too cheesy and everything with people with no experience, my country back then, as I mentioned a couple of times, when it came to voice acting in games, did very poor jobs at it. The most noticeably are the games on the PlayStation 1. So me and a lot of other people are really curious how those games actually might have turned out to be.
And yes, it was released in Europe.
also,
In
Dej.
fact, I think one of the games, so one of the Zelda games you mentioned, only came out in. Did it only come out in Europe or did it get an American release?
All of them came out in America.
All of it, remember, the AVGN reviewed all 3 of them. There might have been some CDI games exclusive to Europe, but I don't know.
Because Zelda's Adventure only came out in the Netherlands in Europe.
How specific.
Interesting. Deji, that's the thing, Deji. Believe it or not, CDI emulation has never really gone that much in terms of progress. Now, apparently, there's just a general lack of interest in emulating
But
that
Pedro,
system.
How else could we actually be able to see the flowers of Robert Mapplethorpe?
I think people have already made a YouTube version of that.
They did. It's literally just a slideshow with some
Well,
minor commentary on it.
Well, that's what the game is. So
And again, that's not even a game. It's literally an art gallery because apparently this Robert Mapplethorpe guy was just a photographer with special power. Which there's nothing wrong with that. But why would you package something like that for the CDI?
it's because, Teo, back in the 90s, it was a really novelty to look at pretty pictures on your console. Because remember, at the time, games used to look like pixel stuff, like this game in particular. So looking at a game that had high quality pictures of live action stuff was just such a novelty at the time that people didn't realize they were just playing a shit game. So
A friend of mine was recently streaming. Like, he played Tetris on the CDI, and he was sharing. It's like, oh, this looks fine. Incredibly pointless, but I was like, wow, these backgrounds are nice. So there was some CDI emulation is out there, because he also did.
And you have to remember also that back then, not back then, but, the CDI did costed outrageously. Like the meme about the $5.99 for the PS3 was kind of on point with that, because if I recall correctly, the CDI back then costed around that same amount, if not more. It was literally just that expensive.
wasn't that more so the 3DO than the CDI?
I forgot if the 3DO was more expensive, but
the 3DO was. I mean, the 3DO was well known for being way more expensive.
The 3DO. The
Let me
3DO
check,
was.
Go
I
on.
think the 3DO was like the PS3 of its time.
I mean, I will give the 3DO the very credit that it had good games in it at least, despite being a crap. Oh, it did. It actually, at the time, Jova, it had the best home port of Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo. I mean, yeah, since then.
For a moment, I thought you were literally about to point out plumbers don't wear ties as one of the characters.
Well, obviously it had bad games too, but it also had at the time the best home port of Wing Commander 3, for example.
Okay, there we go. The 3DO did cost it $6.99.
There you go.
Jesus Christ.
There you go, too. I seriously doubt the CDI cost more than that.
Imagine, like, all that money spent, and oh yes, I will concede that the console did have some good games. However, we should probably discuss how spread and far apart those games were.
The same, actually, Pedro. $700.
Holy shit! And the CDI wasn't even worth it, to be honest with you.
It was literally a glorified. I guess because it has the BCR inside it as well.
Okay. I'm gonna say it. At launch, neither console was worth the price.
I mean, hell, in terms of worth and historical value of game consoles, the 3DO was more valuable because it was the console when the Need for Speed series made the debut.
But guys, think about it. The CDI is more or less what eventually created the PlayStation. So, congrats, you created a system that is sort of
back to Jova.
Alright, so we're...
Combined with the Trident.
So yeah, Wario summoned the power of the Thunder God to open up the steep canyon.
Huh.
There you go. No, it seems to me another thing, Jova. They also had at the time the best home port of Doom. So not Doom, but Wolfenstein 3D. Sorry, Wolfenstein 3D.
Right.
It really just sounds like okay. So in that case, it sounds a bit like a case of the Xbox One factor, where yes, it had the best versions of games, but in terms of stuff that was exclusive to it. Was it really worth it?
That kind of price.
No, it actually didn't have any exclusive stuff to it. Or at least nothing that was noteworthy. At least most of its noteworthy games were definitive versions of games at the time. It had the best version of Gex 1, for example.
Wait. The 3DO had Gex on it?
Yes,
I
it did.
remember that.
Yes, it did.
How did it manage that? Given how Gex operates.
Well, the 3DO was actually the first 32-bit console, Jova.
Huh.
That's why. Why do you think it was so expensive? It was technology that at the time wasn't quite figured out. But the reason the PS1, the Sega Saturn were able to be more affordable is because by the time those came out, that kind of technology was much more easily produced. The 3DO basically was a case of a console that was very advanced for its time, but because of that, they had to price it very high to compensate. Same thing with the PS3.
It's funny because nobody remembers the 3DO for Gex these days, even
obviously not
supposedly being the best version.
Well, the 3DO was a massive bomb commercially, so that's not surprising.
Okay. Remind me, was the 3DO around the same time as the PlayStation at some point?
Quite.
That,
yes, still. The 3DO actually came out. The 3DO actually came out during the time when the Super Nintendo and the Mega Drive were still at the tug of war, and they actually marketed on the commercials talking about how the Mega Drive and the Super Nintendo were quote-unquote baby stories in comparison, which technically they were, because the 3DO was indeed much more powerful. It's just that there were no games that really showcased that.
So in that case, the 3DO lasted long enough to have been alongside the Sega Genesis and SNES. And then later, it was alive long enough to be alongside the PlayStation.
Not for long, though.
Not by much. It was apparently discontinued at the end of 1996. So.
Yeah, it wasn't long. Like the 32-bit consoles by Sega and Sony basically were the final death knell for the 3DO.
So what you're saying is that the 3DO was essentially something that was way too early for its time, because it sounds like it would have excelled better if it was going against the PlayStation directly, seeing as how it apparently was powerful enough to have the best version of Gex on it. That being said, though, the problem was that when it first came out, couldn't really showcase it, and again, the games that were exclusive to it weren't exactly the peak of quality.
No, it's Go on.
Don't get me wrong. There is a big fan base where plumbers don't wear ties nowadays. But back then,
Run games is
Yeah, the game is getting remastered in HD and I'm recording it.
Wow.
Will it be a live recording?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm gonna have you guys decide what should John do.
aside from the audio, what on earth?
When are you gonna do Night Trap?
Sometime. Well, the thing about Night Trap, Dej, is that it's a very frustrating game. And there's only so much you can say about it because there's trust me, there's not that much going on in that house.
Yeah, I think it's more dull than anything, Dej, and the gimmick about Night Trap is not just what you can eat with stuff. In order to actually achieve the best possible outcome for you, you actively have to wait until a good amount of timing for something to happen, to activate the right moment. Because if you activate too early or too late, things change and you might get discontinued. Hold on.
Power up.
This is the power glove. It's so bad.
Yes. So yeah, with this power glove, Wario can now finally pick things up. Like enemies. There you go. And yeah, these particular blocks can only be broken by throwing something at it.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. So the levels now that where we can do something new with this is the Tidal Coast and the Frigid Sea. Okay.
Thanks, Elsa.
Now saving, keep power on.
Yes.
Also, sorry, go.
No, but to go back to the 3DO, no, I do understand what the 3DO company was trying to do. They really wanted to really push the gaming technology to its maximum that it was possible at the time. They really wanted something that was super high tech, that really would be, kind of like the Neo Geo console, So I do understand the idea for it. It's just that when you try to do something like that, oftentimes it backfires on you because you have to basically price the console very high to make your money back, basically. But I can understand why the creators of the console themselves were very proud of it because it was something that was so ahead of its time.
I will give EA this. While they have their reputation nowadays, the 3DO was not a victim of their current stupid business practices. That was just about them being over-ambitious. And it's better to fail from being over-ambitious than to fail from, being like how EA are nowadays. Literally the self-fulfilled prophecy. Set a game up to fail, act like either it's the fans' fault or that the fans just don't care about it enough, and then kill it after running its company into the ground.
Guess what? They also after the failure of the Sega CD, the Digital Pictures, the studio that was making all those games like Night Trap and Sewer Shark and the Make My Video series, they actually made some ports of those games to the 3DO, and they were able to include, and since those consoles were a lot more powerful, and and they made better use of the CD technology, they were able to include much higher quality video, which is why Sewer Shark is best played on the 3DO rather than the Sega CD.
Although apparently checked, I can't say for everything else because I'm literally just checking some of them one by one, but apparently one of the Sailor Moon fighting game was an exclusive for the 3DO.
Yes, in Japan. The console actually did have its fair share of success in Japan. Not much, but just
Koei
enough.
Koei actually, because before the merging, actually developed some things for it.
It's because
irony.
It's because CD-ROM games took off in Japan way faster than they did over here because CD-ROMs were perfect for visual novels, which is something that Japan loves. So.
Yep.
For example, if the PC Engine CD or TurboGrafx CD for those who prefer, had the first ever Sailor Moon visual novel game. So obviously that was again, like any console that had a CDs during the 90s were the perfect place to put in your visual novels / FMV games, which is something that Japan liked. So
it's interesting because Namco in general back then was apparently a lot in love with the TurboGrafx 16 because not only that, the 2 exclusive franchises built it up for it, at least made only for that, Wonder Momo and Bravo Man, but also a couple of other games, like the first Splatterhouse, originally started there, and only later got ported to other console. With Splatterhouse, the other 2 sequels, came only on the Genesis Mega Drive, but the first one was built for the TurboGrafx 16.
Mm-hmm.
How about that reboot of Splatterhouse?
Splatterhouse. No, I was mostly referring to the classic series. That the reboot one done in 2010 was for Xbox 360, PS3, and I think PC as well.
If I remember correctly, there was also a port of Alone in the Dark, the first one.
For the TurboGrafx 16.
No, for the 3DO. For the 3DO.
Oh no, the 3DO is both 1 and 2 actually. Yes.
Oh, and Dwebs, you might like this. The 3DO had a foot. Well, actually, I think the foot does something. Yeah, there you go. No, it's actually a rock foot.
All
Oh,
right.
Let's see what.
You're saying, Pedro?
Let's see what it does. Hold on.
And they broke Mario's neck.
with this stone foot, you shall now. What?
We enter the volcano, I guess.
Huh?
There you go. This opens up something on the steep canyon,
You
and
fool! With that stone foot, you'll summon the god Quentin Tarantino.
At
anyway,
least you didn't say Dan Schneider.
but apparently Dwebs also had a good home port of Bullfrog's theme park.
Oh, okay.
So, for those who don't know, Theme Park was one of the earlier games by Bullfrog, which was Peter Molyneux's company before Lionhead.
Yeah. It was, if I recall correctly, it was one of the many.
Basically, Roller Coaster Tycoon. Theme Park was basically the predecessor to that. Like, it was the kind of like the first time that someone would do a theme park construction simulator, basically. In the meantime, let me see what else we have here.
Yeah, I think Bullfrog was one of the early studios where the EA unceremoniously killed.
So many. An entire
Let's see,
graveyard
2001.
dedicated to
Yeah, I
those
checked
companies.
out.
Who's sounding the alarm?
Wario, because he popped the bubble.
Yes.
It's a Wario alarm.
Oh, they also had a really good port of Lemmings, so that works too.
That's a game.
It is actually. It's basically a not survival. It's a puzzle game where you basically need to have your lemmings actually survive. Through the it plays slightly similarly to the Mario vs. Donkey Kong games, kinda. More like the more recent one with the mini Mario Mini DK.
It
I
also
actually don't remember. Sorry, go on.
here you go. Yeah, because of its power, it was able to have. Oh, there you go. Here's one of Mario's new forms: a vampire. You can turn into a bat.
Wait, the Addams Family film?
No,
Wait, sorry.
well, the theme. Yeah, you can tell the theme is kind of it has that vibe. Yeah, but getting
And water turns you back.
It's not really holy Wario.
maybe it's holy water. I don't know.
Of course.
Well, then shouldn't that kill him?
Look. Don't try to make sense of this, okay? Let's just.
It's a game where you can turn into a zombie, really fat, be set on fire, and live through all of those.
I am now a vampire, but
Honestly, if vampirism could be cured just by throwing water on the victims, that would have solved so many of the Belmont's problems.
or the problems in the. Could you imagine?
Babysitter as a vampire would have been completely.
Could you imagine if that was a case in the Hotel Transylvania series? But anyway,
Maybe.
here's another one. thanks to its power, they had what was at the time, back in 1995, the very, very spot-on arcade accurate port of Samurai Showdown. So again, basically, the 3DO at the time was kind of the go-to console for top-notch PC and arcade ports, or like super duper versions of popular games at the time, basically. Unfortunately, because of its low popularity, nobody actually focused on making super duper awesome original games for it. That's the problem.
What was the console that apparently had the best console version of Doom?
That would be I think the 3D. Didn't the 3DO have it?
The Jaguar?
Yeah.
Sorry, Jaguar.
Yeah, I think the Jaguar did have. I think, if I remember correctly.
Yeah,
but I didn't have any of the music though.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say, Dwebs. Unfortunately, when it came to those days, if you wanted to play the best version of Doom, you wouldn't just have to stick with the base DOS version, because the console ports had always something lacking of some kind. They had, maybe the audio was too compressed, they were missing content entirely, stuff like that.
Hold on, here we go. Hold on, Hold on.
Well, is that Bean, maybe?
I don't know. It does nothing. So, actually, I just checked Doom Wiki. It actually is a 3DO port of Doom. Apparently, the level set is identical to the Jaguar version. Although, unlike the Jaguar version, Spectres are included. This version is single player only. Many fans consider this to be the worst console port of Doom, since it runs on a small screen at a low frame rate. I guess they couldn't. So I guess even the 3DO couldn't run this game.
Basically, if back then you wanted to play Doom, you might as well just stick to the PC.
A few years ago, I played the PlayStation version of it, and it's fine.
But it replaces the entire music soundtrack.
It's really eerie, the music.
That being said, the 3DO version, for all its problems, apparently retains all sound and graphic settings. It's updated soundtrack features remixed versions of the original music. So there is that.
I'll go to YouTube for that.
Anyway, everybody, that was your brief history lesson on the 3DO.
We'll return to our regularly scheduled Wario in the next part.
See ya.
See ya.
See ya.